Welcome to G Fun Facts Online. Look around your city. Beyond the new skyscrapers and coffee shops, invisible forces are at work, silently redrawing the map of political power. These forces aren't laws or politicians. They are people. The demographic makeup of our cities is shifting faster than ever, and today, we're diving deep into how these changes are remaking urban politics from the ground up. Let's start with the most visible shift, the tidal wave of Millennials and Generation Z. These two generations now make up a huge chunk of the electorate in major cities. Their lived experiences are fundamentally different from those of their parents. They're more likely to be renters, rely on public transit, and are without a doubt the most digitally connected and diverse generations in history. This isn't just a fun fact. It translates directly into a new urban agenda. They are demanding solutions for skyrocketing rents, pushing for robust public transportation, and championing environmental sustainability. Take a city like Denver, which has become a magnet for young people. Millennials are now the largest demographic group in the metro area, and their influence is undeniable. They're driving the demand for more walkable neighborhoods and better public transit. Their preference for apartments and co-living spaces is literally changing the blueprints of urban planning. But their influence goes beyond infrastructure. Millennials and Gen Z are deeply committed to social justice. They care about racial equity, gender equality, and LGBTQ+ rights, fueling a more progressive, activist-oriented style of city politics. They are digital natives, using social media not just to connect, but to organize, mobilize, and hold elected officials accountable in real time. This has created a new kind of political engagement, one that's less tied to old party structures and more focused on specific movements. The rise of political figures like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is a perfect example. Her initial victory was powered by young, diverse, and newly engaged voters in New York City. She rewrote the rules of political communication by connecting with them directly and authentically online. As more from these generations win local offices, expect a continued push for policies like aggressive climate action, more social services, and police reform. It's a powerful force, but not without complexity. Many young voters feel frustrated and disenchanted, believing the system is unresponsive. Yet, their sheer numbers and unique concerns mean they are undeniably steering the future of urban governance. Next, let's talk about a group that has long been the backbone of urban life, but is now reaching new heights of political influence: immigrant communities. As these communities grow and establish themselves, they are flexing their political muscle like never before. Historically, immigrants often settled in concentrated neighborhoods, creating vibrant cultural enclaves. It's within these communities that they first began building political power, turning their numbers into real-world gains. In Chicago, for instance, organizations like the Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights have been incredibly successful. They've pushed the city to adopt policies that protect immigrants from deportation, expand healthcare access, and create a more welcoming environment overall. Chicago even has an Office of Immigrant, Migrant, and Refugee Rights to serve these communities directly. The political organizing often centers on very specific needs: fighting language barriers, increasing access to social services, and advocating for workers' rights. A powerful example of this comes from Los Angeles, where a collaboration between the Latino-majority Hotel Workers Union and a Korean immigrant workers advocacy group created a powerful coalition. Together, they campaigned for better wages and working conditions, gaining significant political support. The growing Latino population is a particularly crucial factor. In Los Angeles, where Latinos make up about half the population, their electoral power is a make-or-break element in any mayoral race. While turnout has historically lagged, recent elections show a huge increase in participation, making them a key demographic that can swing elections. Candidates are finally realizing they need to tailor their message to address the specific concerns of Latino voters. Of course, immigrant community is not a monolithic term. There is immense diversity in ethnicity, class, and political ideology. A recently arrived refugee has very different priorities than a third-generation, successful entrepreneur. But despite these complexities, the trend is crystal clear. Immigrant communities are an increasingly powerful force in urban politics, reshaping policy debates on everything from housing to economic development. While we often focus on the youth influx, there's another, quieter demographic shift happening: the graying of our cities. The baby boomer generation is aging, and people are living longer, which means a growing proportion of the urban population is made up of older adults. This has huge implications for city politics. A primary political priority for older urban residents is the ability to age in place, to remain in their own homes and communities as they get older. This desire translates into demands for specific policies: affordable and accessible housing, reliable public transportation, and safe, walkable neighborhoods. In Phoenix, the growing number of older adults is influencing urban planning, with a greater emphasis on creating age-friendly communities. This can mean anything from ensuring public benches are plentiful and parks are accessible, to providing more opportunities for social engagement. Healthcare is, of course, another top priority. Older voters are deeply concerned about access to quality healthcare, the cost of prescription drugs, and the availability of long-term care. This translates into support for candidates who prioritize healthcare funding. What makes this demographic so powerful? They vote. Older Americans consistently have higher voter turnout rates than any other age group, making them a reliable and influential voting bloc. They're also active in community organizations and advocacy groups, effectively lobbying for their interests. However, this can create friction. For example, the desire among some older homeowners to preserve single-family neighborhoods and oppose new development can clash directly with the urgent need for more affordable housing for younger generations. The issue gets even more complex in gentrifying neighborhoods, where longtime older residents on fixed incomes can be priced out by rising property taxes, losing not just their homes but their crucial social support networks. The graying of our cities is a demographic reality we can't ignore, and it's forcing a city-wide conversation about how to create communities that are inclusive for people of all ages. This brings us to one of the most contentious issues in any major city today: gentrification. This process, where wealthier residents move into historically lower income and minority neighborhoods, transforms the very character of a community, and its political consequences are profound. The most significant political impact is the displacement of long-term residents. As property values and rents skyrocket, many lower-income residents, often people of color, are forced to leave. When they leave, they take their political power with them. This can lead to a decline in the political representation of minority groups and a complete shift in the neighborhood's political landscape. Let's look at Atlanta. The gentrification of many historically black neighborhoods has led to a decrease in the city's black population. The 2017 mayoral race was a stark illustration of this, with voting patterns closely mirroring the city's new racial and economic divisions. While the black establishment candidate ultimately won, the razor-thin margin highlighted the growing political influence of the city's newer, whiter, and more affluent residents. These new residents often bring a different set of political priorities. They might focus on quality of life improvements, like new parks and bike lanes, while having different views on the need for affordable housing or social services. Their higher levels of political engagement can give them a disproportionate amount of influence, further marginalizing the voices of long-term residents. But here's the double-edged part. Gentrification isn't always politically straightforward. In some cases, the arrival of new residents can energize local politics. Remember Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? Her 2018 primary victory was fueled in part by a surge of new, younger, progressive voters in gentrifying neighborhoods of Queens and the Bronx. These voters were less tied to the incumbent and more open to a message of radical change. Ultimately, gentrification is a complex and often painful process that is reshaping the political landscape of cities, creating new winners and losers, and forcing us to confront difficult questions about equity, displacement, and the very soul of our neighborhoods. For decades, we thought of poverty as an urban problem. But a startling new trend is flipping that script: the suburbanization of poverty. As cities become more expensive, many low-income families are being pushed out into the suburbs, creating a new political frontier. The causes are complex. The rising cost of housing in cities is a major driver, as is the decline of blue-collar jobs in urban centers. The result? The number of people living in poverty in American suburbs now exceeds the number in cities. This has massive political implications. In the suburbs, this new lower-income population is changing the political conversation. Issues like affordable housing, public transportation, and access to social services are suddenly front and center in suburban politics. The problem is, many suburbs are completely unequipped to handle this shift. They often lack the social safety net and public transit infrastructure common in cities, making it hard for low-income residents to get to jobs or access healthcare. Moreover, political power in the suburbs is often still held by long-time, more affluent residents who may resist policies that would benefit their new, lower-income neighbors. You can see this playing out in school board elections in places like Fairfax County, Virginia. As the county has become more diverse and the number of low-income students has increased, school board elections have become intense political battles over funding for schools in poorer areas and programs for English language learners. This is a complex challenge with no easy answers. It demands a regional approach to poverty that recognizes cities and suburbs are interconnected, and it requires a new kind of suburban leadership willing to address the needs of all residents. As the geography of poverty continues to shift, the political landscape of our entire metropolitan areas will continue to evolve. So we have all these groups: young people, immigrants, older adults, new gentrifiers, and displaced residents, all navigating the same urban space, each with their own priorities. This incredible diversity creates the potential for powerful new political coalitions. The idea of a rainbow coalition, where different minority and economic groups unite, has been a goal of progressive urban politics for decades. By coming together, they could create an unstoppable force for change. We've seen it work. In Los Angeles, a coalition of Latino and Korean American workers successfully advocated for better wages, bridging ethnic and linguistic divides for a common goal. But for every success story, many more attempts fail. Historical mistrust and competition for limited resources, like affordable housing or jobs, can drive groups apart. The term Asian American, or Latino itself, masks incredible diversity, making it hard to build a single unified agenda. And power dynamics are a huge obstacle. Wealthier, more established groups often have more influence, creating resentment among those who feel their voices aren't heard. Despite these challenges, building coalitions is more important than ever. In our increasingly diverse cities, no single group holds a majority. The ability to form alliances is essential for anyone who wants to achieve political power. It requires difficult conversations, building trust, and finding common ground. The future of our cities, and who holds power within them, will be defined by the ability of these different demographic groups to forge such coalitions. The success or failure of these efforts will determine whether our cities become more inclusive and equitable, or more divided and unequal. These are the shifting tides of urban power, happening right now in the city you call home.